Hey guys, welcome to Horror TV. We've got 18 people in the room already. Bex is here with us. She's a little out of focus. We have we have Kevin Tini with us. I'm sorry, I did it again. Tenny with us tonight. Um, we've got a lot to go over. We've been, of course, setting up stuff the whole time. Kevin is. Let's see, are we live? Oh yeah, there we go. It's live up on the thing. There we go. Now, let me see. I need to open this window. Hi, hi, hi. Who do we got in the room? All right, we got Doug. Welcome, Doug. Jason's here. Jennifer's here. Jason, welcome the other Jason. Oh, Brian. Welcome, Brian. Skip. Sam, what's good, Sam? Doug. Bob, holy crap, we got a lot of people in this room tonight. Great job, guys. I appreciate you guys coming out and joining us. I've got, I made some questions for Kevin for you guys, and I will be watching for you guys to ask some. We were so close. Kevin just joined. I see his window over there. I'm going to bring him in live, and let's make sure that we can hear him. I tried talking to him for a second. Kevin, how are you today? Can you hear us? Uh-oh, I can't hear Kevin.
I'm fucking with you.
Oh, he did it. He got us. He got us. All right. Like I don't have enough friggin' problems going on in my day.
Hey, Katie, you can turn your light on in there if you want.
It's good to see you again. It's been a long time since the LA Horror Fest when we ran into each other. We decided to come out and we started this horror TV thing about 2016 we started putting it together, and then at of course COVID and everything, and
Yeah.
we had started a little basic show where we were just here's what's happening next month in horror. We had created a Facebook page, and then we walked away for a couple of years, and we came back and there was like 5,000 people following the page, and we were like, we got to do something with this. So we jumped on board this, and we
Kind
were
of like my house. I left and came back to 5,000 in-laws.
There you go. We were able to do some work with some studios, and we were able to get Witchboard on board. So we thought we'd invite you in to ask you a few questions, and we've got a good start to the room already. You've dragged in the most people I've had on my show live, at the beginning right away. So thank you for that. I've got my questions for you. I've got people that are ready to ask some, but let's just kick it off. There's a rumor, of course, that you shot your first film.
I deny it all.
In sixth grade. And on Super 8, what can you tell us about that experience? What was that movie? Was it a horror film or was it something else?
No, it was a murder mystery detective film. Me and all my sixth grade buddies put on our Sunday best and and we played adults in our suits. And I had an old Bell & Howell camera that the camera attached to a cassette deck and gave it a sync pulse so that it would keep the cassette sound in sync with the picture.
Oh, yeah, of course. And I didn't even think of that. How you would, back in what, 88 is when you did Witchboard.
Yeah, that's right.
What year was that? Everybody knows how old you are.
Well, I can't tell you because, it's after 6. I'm sundowning. So,
there you go.
I can't remember that stuff. It was a long time ago. I mean, I was a sixth grader. That was the first Super 8 that had sound. But the problem was you had to shoot everything in sequence, and you couldn't do a take 2 because you couldn't edit the film because
you weren't cutting the film. You just had to shoot it, period. Yeah.
Right. So we started the film once and got about halfway through and fucked it up and had to stop. And we came back a couple of weeks later and shot it again and got about 2/3 of the way through and fucked it up and had to stop. At that point, I decided I'll just shoot silent Super 8s for a while until Kodak came up with a camera that actually had a sound stripe on the film.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And then you could edit. And then I started shooting sound films again about my junior year in high school.
Nice. Yeah. That's so, I mean, did any of that, that's got to be a weird experience then to go to even as a high school kid. What were you cutting on then with the Kodak, obviously, but you were splicing films?
I was cutting on an actual viewfinder and cutter, but it was about that big because Super
Right.
8 film is about that big. I could never work with Super 8 now. My eyes would never
Right.
be able to
Yeah.
focus
I'm
on a frame that small. I mean, I did a science fiction film, and for the lasers, they would hold the gun, and then I would take the film and take a pin and scrape the emulsion off in a straight line, little, then on the next frame more, and the next frame more, and then you'd see the laser shoot out. I
brilliant.
could never do that now.
No, no, the patience that it would take.
Well, just the eyesight it would take.
Yeah, by itself. So Night of the Demons, man. Where'd the idea come from? What was the beginning of that? How did that come to fruition?
Well, I didn't write it, so I didn't.
Right.
And yeah, so it came to me as a full script, and I was hired to direct it.
Right. You were that was what, 2 years after Witchboard, right?
A year after Witchboard.
Yeah. Nice.
Maybe two. No, about a year, because we started shooting Night of the Demons as Witchboard was coming out in theaters.
Nice. And I can't even imagine what it would be like to now look back and, the 80s horror icon that you are, man. That's great. What with Night of the Demons, that animated opening is one of my favorite, obviously.
Yeah, everyone loves that.
Yeah, where did that? What's the story
That was
behind
the writer-producer, Joe Augustin's idea. I was actually against it at first because I thought it's going to cost too much and the budget's so small. I could maybe shoot another day with the money we're going to spend on the credits. But we had Kevin Kachaver and his then girlfriend, now wife, Kathy Zielinski, who hand drew the sequence, and then he shot it all on an Oxbury. They did a test with just a few shots in black and white. And the minute I saw the test, I was like, oh, yeah, we have to absolutely shoot this.
Yeah, that was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And then, of course, we got to talk about the house. Was that a set or was that an actual?
No, it was a real
set?
house. It was a real house. It's since been torn down. And now it's a Ralph's.
Is it real?
What is that?
Yeah.
Ralph's.
It was a house on the corner of Adams and Vermont, and now that's where the Ralph's is.
So I would imagine that. Did you have the house first or after it was written?
Oh, after. We were looking for houses, and we were lucky to find that one. We were lucky to get it for such a little price because Ralph's had already bought the property and had planned to tear it down, but the neighborhood was fighting them. So they'd spent the money on the property already, and it was just sitting there. So when we offered to rent it, they were like, okay, at least we'll get something while we're waiting.
Here, let's make a little bit of money while we're here.
Exactly. Obviously, the neighborhood fought them pretty well because the sequel was like 4 or 5 years later, and the house was still standing. So they were able to use it for part 2. By the time part 3 came around, it was gone. No.
Right. I've worked on a few films, and one of my favorite shots in this movie is that overhead of the broken glass or the mirror on the floor. What kind of nightmare was that to shoot? And
it was actually not as hard as I was afraid it was going to be, but it was time consuming. It took a long time to set it all up. I think I spent more time trying to explain to people because everyone kept asking, I don't get it. What are we doing? And I had to keep re-explaining it to the producer, the line producer, to the first AD, then to the cast. So that took a lot of time too.
I would
just want to say, shut up and stand there. You'll see.
I got an idea, man. Just let it go.
Yeah. I'm creating art here.
Yeah. I actually did one of my first short films was a Ouija board film, and it kind of I stole some stuff from you, obviously, but the film never went anywhere.
Everybody does.
Yeah, of course. You inspired. What was the inspiration behind the demon? Where did that whole concept for being?
Well, I had not seen a lot of horror films when I did Night of the Demons. But I'd seen the big ones like The Exorcist and The Omen and Jaws and Alien. And I just thought, let's just make them look like Reagan. And then that was my complete input into it. And then Steve Johnson just took that and ran with it.
I love it. Yeah, that works, man. That works. Let's see. All right, you got to have at least one Linnea Quigley story that you can share with us. What it was like directing her in the '80s, coming off this. She was what was that? Return that she was in before that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
What, call
that
yourself a
had. There's
horror
got to be
fan?
one, at least one good story in there. But the lipstick scene, obviously, there's got to be.
Yeah.
Where did that idea come from?
Actually, the script had that she coughs up bile on her chest between her breasts and burns a hole in her chest and then shoves the lipstick through it. And I said, I don't really want to do the coughing up bile because, I mean, The Exorcist did that better than anyone else is ever going to do it.
Right.
And at the time I was reading a book about history, but at one point it was about how lipstick was originally invented by, or was originally used by hookers way back in the day, that if a girl had red lips, that was an indication that she gave oral sex, and that in the Renaissance, the women would rouge their nipples so they would pop out and be more pink. And I thought, well, then what if she's doing that and then just shoves it right through the nipple, and no one's expecting that? They think, oh, this is sexy, and then holy crap, what are we watching? What just happened?
Why did that happen?
Exactly. But then after I said it, I went home that night and I thought, oh, geez, that might be like way crossing the line. So I went back the next day to pull it back. But Steve
Right.
had already figured out how to do it, and he was really excited. And all the producers were like, yeah, Steve's got a great idea. Let's do it. So I was
We're
like,
running
okay.
with it. We're
Yeah,
running
yeah. I guess that's an idea whose time has come.
All right. Yeah, everybody, if you've got questions for Kevin, please post them in the chat and I will push them out to you. We've got, yeah, everybody's giving you much love already. Big fans of Night of the Demons.
No, lucky I'm wearing
Let's
a
see.
condom.
Taylor saw you on a panel at Imaginarium in 2019, and you rock, of course.
Of course.
Of course.
Of course.
Ryan's
I even
cat was
rolled a
watching the
little.
ghosts on the opening screen with them last night. Yeah.
Obviously, a cat with taste.
Ryan wants to know where the large demon head is now.
Witness protection.
Yeah, that's a very good
No,
place.
it's probably dissolved into nothing
Right.
by now. But otherwise, I would assume either Steve Johnson has it or Paragon Arts
Right.
kept it, and probably has it in a warehouse somewhere, falling apart.
Waiting for number 4 or 5 to pop out.
Yeah, that'll happen.
And of course the big question that everybody wants to know: can you even eat apple pie anymore?
Hey, if Jason Biggs can, so can I.
What a great. Yeah, here we go. Sam wants to know, what advice do you have for someone making their first horror film?
Don't
Right.
go into another profession quick while you still can. Yeah, I don't honestly, probably any advice I would give you would not be worthwhile because the
It's a different
industry
world
has
now.
changed so drastically since when I broke in. It helps to go to film school and make a short that wins an Emmy.
Yeah, that always helps.
that
People
didn't
like
hurt.
you after that.
Then get a 3-picture deal with Ivan Reitman while you're still a film student. That helped too. So by the time I said I got a script here, I had a company say we'll fund it, and all the agencies sent me their actual good actors because
Right.
they liked the script, and I had won an Emmy like the year before. So I'm sure all of that helped.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That and my charm and wit.
and you're just a funny man. I can't help it.
Yes,
You've
that's what my
always
wife
been
said on her honeymoon.
right. So Jason wants to know, so what involvement did you have in the Demons sequels? Don't think you directed all 3, but had involvement in the others?
I was not involved in all with part 2. Brian Trenchard Smith directed that, and Joe Augustin wrote it again. I actually thought that turned out really well. I thought they did a great job. I thought it was a terrific sequel. And then part 3 I wrote, but then they sent it up to Canada, and it was shot by a Canadian director who had not seen the first two films and really didn't have any love for the genre. And I
Right.
was very disappointed in how that turned out. Because of the three scripts, Amelia really loved that one and felt like, she got to do she said, oh man, I get to do so much here. And
Right.
then, yeah. And I know he really broke the effects guys. He wouldn't give them the time to do the effects right. And these guys were good. It was KNB, and he no. Man, I get my effects people mixed up all the time
Right.
from one
All
film
right.
to the next. No, it was Roy Kinnear, and he just wouldn't light it, wouldn't shoot it, wouldn't give him the time.
Yeah, I've been there. It's
Yeah.
you got to move. We got to move. We got to move. We only got
Yeah,
20
which I
minutes.
mean, I understand that on a low budget. Ask Steve Johnson; he'll tell you I was a dick to him because
Right,
I
right.
was saying, "That's great, Steve, but we're shooting now, whether you're ready or not."
Time's
So,
up, man.
yeah, but you still have to be aware of the fact that that's one of the selling points of the film is that if the effects look good, that's a selling point.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it behooves you to try to make sure that the effects do look good.
Absolutely. Ryan wants to know what's your favorite scene from the movie and why. Yeah, I know
I
this is
do
going to
like
be
the
a hard
mirror
one.
scene a lot. I
Yeah.
like the mirror scene because it turned out as well as it did. It could have been a disaster because no one had ever done it. I had
Right.
never done it. It was like in theory, in my head, it seemed like something that would work. So,
Right.
but that's not always the case when you shoot it. So that's really good. And I like the scene where um, they're hanging off the roof
Right.
of because the sound design is really great there, and we got some nice footage.
Scooch
And it
over.
was the day we had the 3-story crane, so we could get up there and get the
Get the
shots.
right shots, right?
Exactly, and also when Sal and Angela go flipping off the end of the building,
Right.
and land. That stunt had never been done on film before, so
Was
it
that
was the
wall
first
there
time.
or did you cheat that?
The wall they climb over at the end of
Yeah.
the film.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah.
it was there, but it from here to here. It was
Right, right,
like
right, right.
we
Because
our
you stretched
shot.
that wall into like
If we'd zoomed out another foot, you'd have seen that the wall ends on both sides.
right, right,
So
right.
that was the
Hey,
whole wall.
you
It
made a
was
20-foot wall,
leftover.
several miles long, so it
Exactly.
works. It works.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. Ryan
Movie
says
magic.
right? Exactly. Ashlyn, what are your thoughts on the new instant filmmaking of today and immediate streaming? Do you think it's an asset to low budget horror or not so much?
Well, I think anything that gives you something to do besides competing for the theaters with the Marvel films is good for independent filmmakers. I mean, it used to be the drive-in was where most independent films played.
Right.
And then when the drive-ins closed, you had the ancillary markets. You had VHS, Laserdisc, and then HBO.
Right.
And now you have the streaming services. So yeah, it's nice that there's something available so that these films actually get out there and get seen by people.
And I mean, that's one of the main reasons I started this. Struggling to get a film I've made out to the world. Now I can help people get that done. So it makes me happy. Yeah, John, we already answered that question. He's asking about the house again. Um,
Come on, keep up,
oh,
John.
hang on. Bex has a question.
Get with the program, John.
So when I was watching the movie, because I just watched it,
Uh-huh.
and great, by the way, loved it. I noticed that I don't
Watched
know if
it for the first time?
yeah, ever.
Never seen it before?
No, I'd heard of it, but it's just never been on any like streaming services or anything like that. It just never like popped up to me when I was looking. So I watched it today, and the 80s horror theme, first of all, it just blows it out of the water. Like, wow. But no, my question was, I noticed that you have, I think on the sound producer, I noticed another Tenny. Is that a family
Oh,
member
my
of
brother.
yours? Your brother?
My
Did he
brother did
work
all the
on the
music,
sound with
yeah.
you?
Yeah. He did the score. My brother. He did the score. He did the score for Witchboard 2 and 2 of the Pinocchio films. He did the score and he did all the songs except the Bauhaus song.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, I noticed that when I
Yeah.
was watching it. So I was like, I wonder if they're related. I guess so.
Let's see, John. I'll re-answer that question in a few minutes. Do you know? Yeah. Do you know if there are any plans of a 4K or at least of the first movie, or maybe some sort of box set? Now that already came out on Blu-ray, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Night of the Demons 1 has come out on Blu-ray twice
Right.
and DVD twice. And then Night of the Demons 2 has come out on DVD and Blu-ray. Night of the Demons 3 only came out on DVD in Canada and has and not out on Blu-ray anywhere in North America, at least not, except for bootlegs.
Right. Yeah. Those guys. I was on your IMDb earlier, of course, because I'm trying to figure out what the heck I'm talking about, what questions to ask you. I do see a couple new projects. Anything you can talk about yet, or?
No, not really. They're in the early stages, and I got a couple other things that aren't even on IMDb. But I know a lot of people like to promote right away because they feel like promoting the film gets it some buzz, and maybe
You start
someone will
building
want to
interest.
fund it. Yeah. But I see most of the times when they do that, the film ends up not happening, and then people keep asking you, "What happened with this? What happened with that?" And I'd
And
rather
then you
not.
look like an idiot. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
no,
I don't like to promote. As a matter of fact, the things that are on IMDb, I wouldn't have put them there yet, but
Right. Awesome.
I don't control it. So
Yeah, of course. Let's see. Joel Rose asks, were there any in real life stories that inspired any of the scenes or occurrences depicted in Witchboard? Now, let me.
yeah, actually, a lot of stuff in
Please.
Witchboard was. I did research, and then I found like stories from people who claimed this is what happened when they used a Ouija board, and I took some of those and reworked them to fit my film. But there was someone who had the knife stuck in the floor, and then a bottle of ketchup tipped over. But in theirs, once the ketchup tipped and fell in there, it formed into a human shape. So the knife was like sticking in the chest. And we tried it, but it looked too cornball, so we just left it with the blood dripping. And then the tire blowing out was actually the first guy I ever knew who I was having a housewarming party. He brought a Ouija board. People were playing with it, and he told the story about how a guy was making fun of the board and his tire blew out. And I said, why your tire? And he said, well, since I was in control of the board, the spirit was mad at me.
Right.
But in his story, they all went down to try to change the tire and they couldn't twist the lug nuts. No one. Everyone at the park, all the guys tried and none of them could do it. So they called AAA. And when the AAA guy got there, he stuck it and he just went,
right.
Took the nut. They came right off.
Oh, yep. Yeah, I would leave. I would go somewhere else.
Can't, you've got a flat tire.
Yeah, I have feet. I would get somewhere else.
Drive off on the rims.
Right. And yeah, I've driven on a flat tire before if I had to get. Well, Kevin, let's see. Thanks. And he says, thanks, by the way. Love that movie. Yeah, my brother just said he's the other Jason Rose. He just said creepy buying a new car. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate all the effort it took to get you here tonight. Thank you for coming in. And we're excited to have your movie up on the service, man. It's a good feeling for me to have it there. So thank you.
When's it playing?
We put it up this morning so people could watch and ask questions. So it'll be.
I went to your page though, and I didn't see it advertised that it was up on your page.
Oh, it should be under latest movies. It should be popping.
Well,
yeah.
I'll have to.
Maybe you have to go back and subscribe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't get a free subscription for being here.
Yeah, Kevin.
for being a movie mogul / horror icon.
I haven't even given my brothers free subscriptions yet.
Well, yeah, but he sounds like a bum.
So, yeah, exactly.
He sounds like a bum. Why would you want to give him anything, right?
Well, this interview was supposed to be about Night of the Demons that we're bringing to the service, and he starts talking about Witchboard. So I'm going to have to kill him later for that. But great movie. Okay. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, man. Appreciate you greatly. And I'll talk to you tomorrow, and we'll hook you up with a subscription.
Okay, there we go. You heard him, folks. We got it online. He's He's gonna hook me up.
And yeah, lots. I mean, there's tons of love in the
take
comments.
that,
If you
his
come
brother.
back, yeah. Awesome, man. You have a great night. Thanks for joining us, and I
You
will
bet.
catch you tomorrow.
That was quick and painless.
As it should be, the way I like it.
Yeah, like my honeymoon.
Kind of. I'm like,
Good night, Kevin. Thank you.
You betcha. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, guys, that was Kevin Tenney. Thank you. You know, it's great for him to join us. We've also got Felissa Rose coming Friday night to help. She's going to be talking about Meet the Carvers. Let's see. In normal news, yeah, Jason, he's hilarious, man. If you ever watch him out there, he's a great guy. Any other questions about the service and everything that's going on right now? I know that before 10 a.m. tomorrow, the Roku app is supposed to be live. Fire TV should not be far behind it. I'm kind of amazed that it's happening that way, and things are happening behind me that I don't quite understand what's going on over there, but that's okay. We're going to shoot a thank you. We're going to shoot a little commercial tonight for the homepage of the website. We should have that edited and up tomorrow. Ashlyn, we're glad you made it, man. If you guys missed the first part, where was that question? Who did I yell at? Somebody I yelled at. John Manis. So, John, yeah, it was a real set. They were able to find this house in LA, which is a it was a property that was owned by Ralph's. And well, Ralph's is a grocery store for those of you that do not know. It's a grocery store that is across California. But they had bought that property to put a Ralph's up, and the neighborhood was fighting it. So there was a dilapidated house that they could basically tear up and do whatever they wanted to.
Hi, Jason.
Yeah, hi, Jason. My brother's flirting with Bex over here. But yeah, so we've got a bunch of new movies up. Of course, we've got Kevin Tenney's Night of the Demons, along with what comes out the day after. The day after, we've got not Final Destination. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get your hopes up. It's The Descent, just as good. To do. The Descent is going up very shortly, and along with we put about 20 movies up from Dead release. I always say that it's not Dead. It's Dark Side releasing. You guys need to check out the very first short on Built to Kill, the second one, BUILT, the number 2, KILL. It's basically a short film where they go through and they've got so many little, like, what do we want to call it? They've got the Easter eggs, right? For every horror movie you can think of. I'm actually thinking of doing a contest where we'll have a, see who can catch them all kind of thing, which might be kind of fun. If you guys don't have any other questions, we're hitting that 6:30 mark, and I've still got a lot to do for you guys tonight. And yeah, rock and roll, man. Any other questions, guys? News on podcasts available on the service. Sure, podcasts are coming. We have 2 that we're going to get up very shortly. If you'll notice that Meet the Carvers is up under the series tab, and yeah, I hope you guys have a great. All right, my brother just goes, "Does this look infected?" Yeah, there we go. And yeah, does this look infected? This is my life. All right, guys. You all have an amazing night. Oh, you're welcome, Jason. Felissa Rose is coming. We actually talked. I talked to her on the phone today. We've got a lot of little things little projects that her and I talked about, and hopefully we get them going. Very excited about that and bringing her on board. Jennifer, you guys are the best, man. I appreciate every single one of you. There is, I can't do this without you guys, so I appreciate you. Make sure you like on. Yes, Count, if you have a podcast, hit me up. we can get it up. It does. The podcast does need to be a video podcast, not an audio podcast. We are horror TV, so we are. If you throw a camera up and like we're doing here, and you do a podcast this way, absolutely, I'm happy to put it up. Hit me up on DM and we'll get it squared away. So it's the same time as the last drive-in. Yeah, you're the best. You might need to get that amputated. Jennifer, Jason, do you hear that? Jennifer's telling you what to do with your thing. Mad spooky love. All right, you guys are the best. I will catch you all next Wednesday. Well, no, that's not true. I'm going to catch you Friday because we got Felissa coming in. Hey, Count, hit me up with a DM. He's keeping his infected thing. That's awesome. Yeah, I know. We got to figure out what's going on with Facebook. We had a couple issues with that. But even when we were going live on the actual invite page, it wasn't showing up on the top. It's obviously showing live on Facebook over here, but it wasn't showing up on the actual event, which was weird. And it actually started counting the event down. That wasn't my timer. That was Facebook's. I don't know why they did that to me. But yeah, rock and roll, guys. I'm blessed and honored that Kevin was able to come and do this for us and give us a little, give us some answers to one of the biggest iconic movies of all time. You guys rock. Brian, thank you. Brent, thank you. Jason, thank you. Amanda, glad you can make it. And thank you. We'll catch you guys next Friday. Well, this Friday at 6 p.m. Pulled it up and it didn't start until after I refresh the screen. You roll. Yeah, exactly. All right, guys. Have a great night. See you Friday.